All right, good morning, boys and girls. We are now on to science and social studies. All you have to do to get onto this is click on the link underneath of the video or go into the events section of Class Dojo, or better yet, just go ahead and bookmark this tab and you can just go to it every day. All right, so we are now on week 2. So you're gonna click on week 2 and it will bring you right there. And we are on day 6, Earth Science. And today we're going to learn about ponds. And it says, watch the story in the small pond and to read the book. And there's also a video, a pond is a habitat. And then our activity is going to be an acted out activity. So I always like to look at the activity first to see what our task is going to be. Today is a fun one. Guess the pond animal. It says, get up and moving with a pond charades game. Well, this would have been fun to do if we were in class. So you can do this with an adult brother or sister. It says to make a list of the animals that are in the story we're going to read, and then you're going to act out what it does, like what a duck does, what a beaver does, and the other person has to guess. With your child, take turns acting and guessing the animals. For extra fun, try making the animal sounds. So maybe in our Zoom meeting today, we can do some animal charades. That will be kind of silly, won't it? But we'll do it. So I hope to see you at 12:30 on Zoom. All right, let's get right to it. Since the activity is just an acted out today, we might have time to either watch the video or listen to the story. So since we know that we're going to be acting out pond animals, it's going to be important for us to know how each animal moves. The trickiest way to play a charades game is not to make the sounds. That's going to make it even easier for the person to guess. So you want to move like the animal. It'll be harder for the person to guess. Life in a pond. And then after the video, I encourage you to go on this website and do some of the activities. I really like this website, and I'm hoping when I get back into the classroom with you guys, or if it's not till next year or whenever, I want to get this subscription, and I really like this for science and social studies. This is a lake. It's big and it's deep. Have you ever seen a lake before? I know when I was little, sometimes we would go swimming in the lake, but I didn't like the water because it was all brown, but it was still fun. This is a pond. It's small and it's shallow. So how is a pond different from a lake? So a pond is shallow, so that means it doesn't go very high. So if you were to stand in a pond, it would probably just go maybe up to about your ankles, maybe a little higher, but a lake goes very deep. So you need to know how to swim to go in a lake, or you'd have to wear a flotation device. So that's the big difference. And today we're talking about ponds and specifically what lives in a pond. So now we're going to find out. Sunlight reaches the bottom of a pond. This allows plants to take root and grow there, all across the pond. So it starts with the sunlight reaching the bottom of the pond, right, through the water, and it's allowing plants to grow underneath that water and all around it. A pond is a wonderful place to learn about nature. You can see all kinds of life in and around a pond. The smallest pond life is plankton, very tiny plants and animals floating in the water. All right, so we just learned about our first sign of life in the pond. And what is it? Plankton. If you've ever watched SpongeBob, I'm sure you've heard that name before. Plant, plankton, or algae sometimes forms a green film on the surface of a pond. Plankton is food for some of the pond's animals, and they in turn may be eaten by larger animals. All right, so a lot of times in the morning, if you walk by a pond, you'll see all this algae on top. Well, let's look at the pictures first. More things we're going to see in the pond. Bass, sunfish, and perch are some of the fish you might find in a pond. You might also find shrimp or crayfish or clams. Turtles and frogs and snakes and snails often live in or around ponds. Big dragonflies may fly over the pond. Wow, lots of life in the pond. So let's go back and think so far what animals we've learned about. So we have our turtles, frogs, snakes, and snails. What else? The fish, the plankton, and the dragonflies. Other insects, such as water striders, walk on top of the water. Ducks, geese, and swans visit ponds to rest and to feed on floating duckweed. And that's mostly what we would see walking by a pond, is we see the ducks and all the geese making all that noise. Long-legged birds such as egrets and herons may wade through a pond. So if you look at the bird here, you can see how low the water is. It's only going up, it's only covering the bird's feet. Deer, moose, raccoons, and other mammals come there for water and food. So the pond is a great source of food for many, many different animals. One animal, the beaver, makes its own ponds. Beavers live in underwater homes called lodges. The beavers cut down trees with their sharp teeth. Then they use the trees and mud to make a dam across a stream. A deep pond forms behind the dam, deep enough so the beavers can build their homes. Wow, I've never seen a beaver home before. I bet it's cool to look at. Trees such as willows and cypresses often grow around ponds. Some kinds of plants float in pond water. Water lilies like these can cover a pond with their flat leaves. They often have pretty flowers. So those are what we would call lily pads. And we often can picture the frog jumping across the lily pads. Plants that take root along the shores of a pond include cattails and other reeds, tall grasses, ferns, and poundweeds. Waste material from dead plants and animals sinks to the bottom of a pond. As the waste builds up, the pond becomes more shallow. That means less deep. Now, the plant life on the shores can grow closer to the center of the pond. After many years, reeds and grasses may grow all across the pond. The pond has become a marsh, or it may even dry up completely. Okay, so a marsh is what happens when all the grass and trees and stuff grow over top of the pond. That water just starts shrinking and shrinking, but it still leaves a very wet land. And it will eventually dry up, but the mosquitoes are very attracted to the marsh area. But new ponds are always forming. Some are made by nature, some by people, and some by beavers. Interesting. I didn't know that beavers could help create a pond. Cool. All right. So now we learned all about the different animals in a pond. Today in our Zoom meeting, maybe you will act out an animal and we'll try to guess it. All right, so I'm gonna go back, hit the home button. Whoa, okay, that took me really far out. Nope. Okay, so now you're back here. Looks like we have a couple more minutes, so let's watch the video, A Pond is a Habitat. Oh, and look, it even has a quiz at the end. That's nice. All right, it's a nice 5-minute video, so we'll go ahead and watch that. And then after the video, You can do math or get ready for our Zoom meeting, depending on what time you're doing this. All right, let's watch. All right, boys and girls. I really enjoyed that video. I think I'm going to show that to Natalie a little later today because she really likes to learn about animals. All right, boys and girls, I'm looking forward to our Zoom session. Don't forget to do the Raz Kids assignment. Watch the other story on here. Please go on Get Epic and Imagine Math and education.com. I know that sounds like a lot, but you have the time to do it. And have a wonderful day. Hopefully, I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.